Hello sports fans, it is Friday, April the 5th, year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Before we get to our Final Four, I'm going to go through the Final Four games with you in Atlanta. I'm going to pick the games for you. Before we do that, let's go to some scores of note from last night. Let's start in the NBA. The Chicago Bulls beat the Brooklyn Nets last night in Brooklyn. I'll tell you, Brooklyn really has me shaking my head. I mean, what is the story with Brooklyn? I mean, they have a great record against bad and mediocre teams. They cannot beat a decent team, and they can't even beat a decent team in their own building. I mean, Brooklyn has to beat Chicago last night. Chicago is undermanned. They don't have Derrick Rose. Brooklyn is at home. Brooklyn, you have to beat Chicago last night. I mean, Brooklyn is just losing all the time to good teams. I don't understand it. They just cannot beat the elite teams. Brooklyn is going to have a short shelf life in the playoffs. They may get out of the first round, and then their days are numbered. They just cannot beat the good to elite teams in the NBA. They're down 2 at the end of this game, and what is with the play they draw up at the end of the game? They're down 2, and they have Brook Lopez, your big man, your 7-footer, taking almost a three-pointer. He was basically straddling the three-point line. It would have been a two-pointer to tie the game. Ball goes in and out, and the Bulls win. Why would you draw up a play for your big man, Brook Lopez, to shoot a bomb of a shot to tie the game? It wasn't even a three-pointer, so it was only going to tie the game. And he was at a bad angle, too. He was like in the corner straddling the three-point line. Why would you want that play there? I don't understand. You couldn't get something easy there, something going to the basket, a little 10-footer. I mean, something. Brook Lopez from almost three-point range. I mean, on a bad angle as well. He was almost behind the basket. Terrible play at the end of the game, and Brook Lopez almost made it. The shot went in and out, but I didn't like the play at all. I don't like the Nets play against good teams at all. I mean, come on, Brooklyn. And I'm not picking on Brooklyn. I like what Brooklyn's done. I love the new arena. I like what they've done with the team. They're a very competitive team. They're a good team. They re-signed Williams. They brought in Johnson. They brought in Wallace. Brook Lopez looks like he's got some ability. But come on, you got to start beating some of these good teams, especially at home. Protect your home court. And by the way, where's Chris Humphries? Remember when Chris Humphries used to be a good role player? He's basically non-existent now. I mean, what has happened to his game? I mean, so Brooklyn really has me shaking my head lately. The way they're playing, they may win the first round in the playoffs, and then their days are numbered. Gotta beat Chicago at home without Derrick Rose. Come on now. Also last night, Oklahoma City at home beat San Antonio. Oklahoma City and San Antonio are now tied in the loss column for best record in the West. I think Oklahoma City is going to get it because Ginobili's going to sit the rest of the regular season. You know San Antonio loves to sit players. I'm sure Duncan will sit a lot the rest of the way, maybe even Parker. I think Oklahoma City is going to jump them. I think San Antonio, I still am not a believer in them. They're doing a great job, great record. They have a lot of age, lot of injuries, San Antonio. I will not be picking them to get to the finals in the NBA Western Conference. Also last night, Denver beat Dallas, but the big story here, Gallinari goes out with a knee injury. We'll keep an eye on that. MRI today could be serious. Now, Denver's got a very deep team, but still, you don't want to lose Gallinari. Very important piece to your team. Remember, Lawson is already out. Don't know when he's coming back. So Gallinari, keep an eye on that MRI today. Could be a serious knee injury. And how about Dallas? Gallinari's out for Denver, and Lawson's out for Denver, and Dallas still can't hang on to a lead in the fourth quarter. Dallas, goodbye, good night. I mean, they won the title 2 years ago. Enjoy that, because they're not winning any titles anytime soon. Dallas is done this year. All right, so that was kind of some of your stuff in the NBA last night. Over to the NHL we go. Boston shut out the Devils 1-0. Jaromir Jagr gets the goal. I was just talking about Jagr yesterday. I was saying, how is he still even in the NHL? Boston traded for him, and he pays immediate dividends. He scores the only goal of the game. Boy, the Devils are really playing bad hockey. What is that, like 5 in a row they've lost? They are slipping badly. I mean, they started the year very nicely. They're going to be lucky to hang on to a playoff spot. Also last night, Philadelphia went into Toronto and beat the Maple Leafs. Philadelphia, back-to-back nice wins. They're still in the playoff hunt. They beat Montreal and Toronto back-to-back, so nice job by the Flyers. Washington in a shootout beats the Islanders. That was a very important team for both teams. Very important game for both teams, I should say. Washington gets the extra point. Both of those teams right there for the playoffs. Montreal continued their winning ways. They beat Winnipeg. St. Louis, nice win at Chicago. St. Louis battling for the 8th spot in the West. LA beat Minnesota. Columbus beat Nashville. Columbus is playing a lot better hockey. And Phoenix beat Detroit. So that was some of your doings in the NHL. A lot of battles in the NHL for the 8 seeds in both conferences, for divisions. A lot of stuff going on. Over to your Major League Baseball. Some scores of note from yesterday. Cincinnati beat the Angels. They took 2 of 3 in a very, very competitive series. San Diego salvaged one against the Mets yesterday. Baltimore took 2 of 3 from Tampa. Washington swept Miami. I mean, how bad is Miami going to be? 1 run in 3 games Miami scored. I mean, I know they're playing Washington, but come on. 1 run in 3 games. Miami could be the worst team in baseball. The Yankees salvaged one behind Pettit against the Red Sox. Rivera with the save there. Philly, same thing. They salvaged one against Atlanta. Cliff Lee, awesome last night. Pitched a great game. That's what we like to see from Cliff Lee. Now, if only Hamels and Holiday could pitch that well as well. Minnesota beat Detroit. A little surprising. Minnesota took 2 of 3 in that series after Detroit had won the first game behind Verlander. And Toronto beat Cleveland, but Cleveland did win that series 2-1. Toronto, a lot of home runs last night. What was it, 7 home runs combined between these two teams? What is with Toronto? That place, it seems like, is a home run haven. I mean, just balls are being rocketed out of there left and right. I don't always remember the Sky Dome or whatever they call it now, the Rogers Center, being like that. I mean, the ball just flies out of there now. Everyone hits home runs there. So Toronto salvages one against Cleveland yesterday. Also, over to your NIT championship game, Baylor beat Iowa. I was wondering what kind of crowd they were going to get for this game because it's a strange matchup to have in the heart of New York City, Baylor and Iowa. They got 5,000 people. I mean, I guess that's a decent crowd for these two teams. I mean, 5,000 for Iowa, Baylor in Madison Square Garden. You can't complain about that. The fans that were there were pretty into it as well. Both sides had a little contingent. They were into it, so give them credit for showing up. All right, so that was kind of some of your scores from last night. As far as a couple news and notes, Minnesota Golden Gophers in college basketball hire Rick Pitino's son as coach, so we'll see if the apple doesn't fall far from the tree there. And of course, Mike Rice at Rutgers fired. We knew that was going to happen. He couldn't stay. Now, to me, the athletic director can go also. And I'll tell you what, if the president knew about this, he could go as well. Now, we don't know if the president knew about this. He probably should have. If he did, he's got to go too. Athletic director for sure has to go. I mean, he was going to keep Mike Rice. If this tape did not come out, he was going to keep Mike Rice. This is only blown up because this tape came out and the athletic director is trying to now save his job. So he figures like throw an alligator out there for somebody. You know, he's throwing Mike Rice overboard so he can save his job. But the athletic director can go. If the president knew, he could go, and Mike Rice had to go. I give the players at Rutgers a lot of credit. None of them bashed Mike Rice. They actually said some nice things about him. Here's the thing, though. What he did was wrong. I mean, I know plenty of people in abusive situations that, you know, are loyal to the abuser. I mean, the players were loyal here. I give them credit. But come on, Mike Rice was wrong here. You can't act like that. And here's another thing. Did any of this do any good for his team? They were not good at all. No recruits are going to go there. Did this make his team better? They weren't any good. To me, it didn't make them better at all. So he didn't need to do this. Totally unnecessary. So Mike Rice deserved to be fired. Athletic director could be shown the door as well. And I'll tell you, if the president knew about this, he can go as well. All right, so that's kind of some of your scores, some of your news and notes. Let's get to the Final Four finally in Atlanta. We basically had a week off here. You got 2 games tomorrow. Let's start with Louisville and Wichita State. Louisville is a 10.5-point favorite. How in the world is Wichita State going to win this game? I mean, I don't see any possible way. Wichita State's a great story. I like their team. I like what they've done. Tremendous story, this team getting to the Final Four. I love their name, the Shockers, the Wheat Shockers. Really solid team. But now, I mean, they're running into just an absolute juggernaut in Louisville here. Louisville is a gargantuan of a team. They look like they're going to win it this year. I mean, they are on an absolute roll. They hit you at one of these runs in the second half, and they just blow you off the court. I don't see how Wichita State can win this game. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Louisville pulls away at the end. I think they for sure cover the 10.5-point spread. I think Louisville wins this game by 20. Louisville by 20. I'll be pulling for Wichita State to hang in there. I think it's not going to happen. I think Louisville big tomorrow. Now, in the other game, very big game, Michigan, Syracuse. I mean, a real nice, tasty game. I mean, Syracuse with the 2-3 zone with Boeheim, and Michigan with their young kids playing really well. I mean, Glenn Robinson III and Tim Hardaway Jr. And how about Burke? How good is Burke? I mean, got ice water in his veins. And what I love about Michigan, I mean, I like the coach too, Beilein. What I love about Michigan, they have a lot of freshmen playing, yet they've held their composure. Against a veteran, senior-laden Kansas squad, Michigan was the team that held it together. Kansas was up 12 points with 3 minutes to go with a senior group. Michigan's got all freshmen. You figure there's no way the freshmen are going to rally here. What do? They hold their own. They come rallying back and steal that game from Kansas. So I like the way the Michigan freshmen are playing, even against Florida. Florida had a veteran group. You figured Florida's, veteran leadership was going to take over. The Michigan freshmen outplayed the Florida veterans, and Michigan handled Florida with ease. So the Michigan freshmen playing really well, playing, just better than freshmen, actually. They're playing more like seniors. Burke is a tremendous player. He won Player of the Year. Hardaway Jr., Robinson III. Michigan's favored by 2 points here. Game could go either way. I'm going to pick Syracuse. I like Syracuse's 2-3 zone. I love Fair, Trish, Sutherland, Michael Carter-Williams. I think Syracuse's zone is very hard to play. Now, Michigan can shoot the 3. They're getting a little inside play as well. I give Michigan a definite shot. I think this game could go either way. I'm going to pick Syracuse by 1 point to win this game in a very close game, coming right down to the wire. I think Syracuse's 2-3 zone. Syracuse has been shutting teams down through the whole tournament. No one is shooting well against them. They're going to hold Michigan down here. I don't think Michigan shoots as well. I think Syracuse edges out Michigan in a classic game. Should be a beauty of a game. If you're going to watch one of these two games, I would say Michigan-Syracuse is the game to watch. I think the Louisville game is going to be a blowout. So that would set up Louisville-Syracuse on Monday night. One last hurrah for the old Big East. So that's where I think we're headed. Louisville over Wichita State. Syracuse over Michigan, but the Syracuse-Michigan game is a tremendous game. Make sure you watch that game. All right, so that's where you are with your Final Four in Atlanta. As far as the weekend, what to watch besides your Final Four, over to the NBA. Tonight, Friday, you have Milwaukee and the Knicks. The Knicks are on fire. Oklahoma City, Indiana. That's a tough back-to-back for Oklahoma City. They beat the Spurs last night at home. Now they got to go to Indiana the next night. Indiana's a great home team. Would like to see Oklahoma City respond with a win here. That would show me a lot. Tough spot, though. Also tonight, New Orleans at Utah. Utah's got to win all their games to make the playoffs. Memphis at the Lakers. Very important game for the Lakers. They're battling Utah for that 8th seed. That's the games tonight in the NBA. As far as Saturday, Atlanta, San Antonio, Houston, Denver. Sunday, Knicks at Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's schedule doesn't get any easier. They play San Antonio last night, then at Indiana, then home for the Knicks. Not easy. Lakers at the Clippers Sunday. I expect the Clippers to handle them. And Utah at Golden State. Utah's got to have all these games. As far as your NHL tonight, Rangers at Penguins. Nice game. Remember, they just played in New York a couple days ago. We'll see if Pittsburgh can rebound at home. As far as Saturday, Philadelphia at Winnipeg. Boston at Montreal. Big rivalry. Rangers, Carolina. Washington, Florida. Toronto, New Jersey, Tampa Bay Islanders. All these games have playoff implications. On Sunday, St. Louis, Detroit, Minnesota, Columbus, New Jersey, Buffalo, and L.A. Anaheim. Got to start making your move in the NHL. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty. As far as some games to highlight in Major League Baseball, I'm not going to go through all the games with you. A couple of series to highlight. Yankees are at Detroit. That's an interesting series. Angels at Texas. Very interesting. Josh Hamilton going back to Texas. How are the fans going to treat Hamilton? I mean, they loved him when he was there. Are they going to be venomous towards him? Is it going to be mixed? Very interesting to see. Boston at Toronto and Washington at Cincinnati. A very nice series. Wow, Cincinnati opened their season with 2 tough series. They play the Angels and then now Washington back-to-back. That's a great series, Washington at Cincinnati. So if you're looking for some early baseball. Washington, Cincinnati could be your series. All right, so that's where you are. You guys are all caught up. I gave you some movies. If you want to see a movie over the weekend, I gave you some of them yesterday. You guys are all caught up. You guys enjoy the Final Four. Make sure you watch those games, especially that Michigan-Syracuse game. You got some NBA. You got some NHL. We're coming down the home stretch in both of those sports, so keep an eye on all that. I will be back with you guys Monday. We'll recap all of it. By then, we'll know who's in the championship game in Atlanta in the Final Four. You guys enjoy the games. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you guys again on Monday. Take care.